G'day guys, welcome to part 8 of the poor old Falcon rebuild. Really starting to get there. Let's not talk a load of rubbish, let's hook straight in. In order to sandblast, guys, we're back on these headlights from last video. We need to part the sandblast. The more I'm sort of going at it, the more it's sort of disappearing. I thought, right, well, I'm stopping. Or else then I've got to chase up a second handy and I couldn't be bothered. So what we'll do is we'll just clean this up. That's pretty much as you see it. I'll put a coat of red oxide over it. And that'll fucking do it. It's pretty, I got fiberglass and all that. I think it'll be all right. It's well backed up by that part. That's cleaned up all right. And that all screws in at the front. So it's all clamped, all that area. So I ain't too worried about it. The screws where you, except for that one, the screws where you adjust the aim are pretty good. Yeah, fuck it, I think we'll run with it. Bit of reassembly on the headlight bucket, guys. Yeah, as I said, she's pretty rusty. There's looking at that back piece of, bloody pot metal or aluminium, whatever it is anyway. It's pretty crappy, as I told you. There's a crack in it too there, unfortunately. Anyway, once it's all bolted up, it's pretty solid. I cut a new piece of rubber because that piece of foam rubber was pretty manky. So that's fine, just normal rubber put in there. Just had to put I'll put a wider washer under it just so it pulls down on the rusty housing a little bit. Cleaned up the trims. I'll get a nice new headlight for it. Just your standard 7-inch round high-low beam. Which gets not hard to get, but once upon a time you could buy them at any garage. These days I was flat out getting them from Repco. And there we have it, guys. Headlight assembly basically done. There's those clips as I was telling you. As I say, if you want to remove the headlight, you just push down and rotate. It's pretty basic. And they also do your aiming, so they'll be left to right, and that'll be your up and down. I haven't done anything about the wiring yet, obviously. It'll have to have a plug, but all I've got to do is put the bolts, look out, the 3 bolts in the back, which are those ones, they're a stud, and the nuts become seized up. I'll clean all that up and put the studs in, and it can be bolted in. And we have the headlight basically done. When it's in, I'll paint behind that with some of that tar shit, because you can get at it behind the guard, and she's done. And there we have it, one headlight in place. Yeah, as it's got to be aimed and all that and wired, but they're the mounts for the grille. And headlight surrounds, same as that one. Yeah, but there, as I say, they're easy enough. Looking in the back, you're not going to be able to see much in there. I'll just spray some of this tar shit. The hole's up the top. Can't remember if that's right or not, but that's where it's going. Well, that works out correctly with the adjustment. Yeah, spray some of that tar shit in there and you'll never know. Well, there we have it. The poor old darling has eyes again. Just got the headlights in. As I said, well, I didn't show you doing that one because it's bloody identical to that one. Yeah, just cleaned it all up and that. Still got to be adjusted, of course. I mentioned the screws. New seal beams in there. They won't be the brightest bloody things on the planet, but for the area I'm in, I'm going to see if I can get a couple of round driving lights that sort of look retro. I don't think you can get anything like that these days. I think everything's bloody LEDs, but yeah, just sort of a couple of round ones on the bumper. Try, that look as old as possible. Yeah, just for around here, because I can tell you now, you get out in the bush out there in the roads, there's no street lighting, and there's that many animals on the road at night, it's bloody dangerous. Well, now that I've sort of started dressing the front, oh geez, you can see the angle in them headlights, bit of aiming to do. I'm going to have a go at this grille. Obviously, it's pretty bloody scummy, wants a good clean up. A little bit bent, but that's the only spot. I don't think that's going to be too hard to straighten out. A couple of little bends here and there, but I mean, that's the whole car's got little bends in it. What we'll do is we'll clean it up. I'll get the bloody one of those buffing wheels and clean it up. But what I'll do is, and it's a little custom touch I remember from me real early days. And see how you've got the horizontal lines going across it, and you've got the verticals. What they used to do, they used to get matte black paint and paint in that section and leave the horizontal, and then all you basically see is your horizontal bars, and it's just a very mild custom look, and it's a trick of paint. But yeah, you just sort of paint in there and leave the straight bit shiny, and unless, I mean, you can see it up close, of course, but yeah, it's from a distance, and in matte, it'll blend in at the front, and it's just a very mild custom touch. It's hardly going to win me the the next hot rod show in Melbourne, but no, it's just a little custom touch, and it should come up right. And if it looks like shit, I'll bloody rub the paint off. There we have a grill. Haven't done the surrounds yet. They've got to be cleaned and polished. Didn't come up too bad. I mean, look, it's she's a little bit warped and buckled, but it screwed in. All the holes lined up and it screwed in. So what more do you want for a bloody Patina rat rod? I haven't done the little custom touch I was talking about yet. I'm going into town tomorrow to get some flat black paint, and I will do them, and I reckon that's going to be a nice little effect. They were black in there originally, so I'll do that. I'll just see how it looks with the surround on it. But yeah, I'm gonna cross out those bars. I think it'll just give it a slightly custom look. And I think it'll be better in flat. I think gloss will show it up. But flat will tend to blend. Anyway, we've said all that shit. No, but it's starting to look like a car. I mean, and I've said it 100 times, a long way to go. Still waiting on my bloody suspension components. I need the upper control arm bushings. I need the rear leaf springs, so I can put this bloody diff and all that in and do the pinion seal. I've got parts coming. This is the worst part, is the waiting game. If you had everything, wouldn't take that long to do. Continuing work on the front end, doing a bit on the bumper. Just finished off the grille and headlight surrounds. Polished them as best I possibly could. There is rust up in there, as you can see, the pit marks. This side's a little bit worse. As you can see, can't do much short of bloody stripping them back and re-chroming them. I'm not doing that. Polished them as best I could. Come up all right. Sort of, yeah, you start to get an effect of the car. Doing all the bumper now. I've stripped her. We're just starting on the little headlight, the little park light and indicators go in these, and these are the holders. They're pretty rusty, pretty crappy. They're the mounting brackets. They'll just be sandblasted and powder coated. As you can, I've just given this one a very basic clean. They're rusty, they're shitty, but they're complete. Well, looking at these, there's a left and a right by the look of them. I think that one's, I don't know, we'll find out on reassembly. It doesn't really matter. They're, just change them over. I'm going to give them a real good sandblast. I'd like to see if I've got some new sockets. I might have some laying around. They are different. As you can see, that one had the socket screwed in, whereas that one's been pressed in or whatever. So that's the gasket. I'm going to see if I can cut a new one out of some cork, I think. Got 2 new globes for it, that's not it. And I've also got brand new original plastic lenses for it. So they should fit straight in with a bit of luck. But yeah, this is all got to be cleaned out. So we're just about to stick him in the sandblaster and see how we go at dragging 60 years of abuse and shit and God only knows what else. Took a bit of doing, guys. That's as far as I got and I stopped. As you can see, if I keep sandblasting, I won't have a part to sandblast. This outer ring is an aluminium, the inside's steel. Got 95% of the rust out of there. But yeah, I've stopped sandblasting. I'll end up going too far. Basically got the part clean. We'll check the electrics and make sure that the socket's still working. You can hardly see in there, a bit better. Make sure the socket's still working. I'll just leave that a sandblasted finish for that. Of course, that's a before. That's the before. Still got to do this bloody thing. Have a look at it. That's elastic or whatever. Bloody silicone up in there is a fair dinkum bastard to get rid of, but you can. So start off with a wire wheel and a good sandblast, but you sort of before and after. That'll be all right. You can see where it says top in there, and so yeah, things start appearing from 60 years ago when they assembled. But yeah, I've got brand new glass for these, and I'll put brand new bulbs in. They should be quite serviceable. And as I said, I'll get some, I don't know about cork or rubber, one or the other. That feels like that feels like a rubber. I can cut that pretty easy. Cork's probably easier than rubber. Just trying to think what'll be better. I think that originally they're cork, but could be wrong. We'll look into that. Well, there we have it, guys. Yeah, she's pretty corroded, but serviceable. I cut a new bit of rubber for the inside. New glass on it. Re-tapped the holes for just a slightly bigger screw, and you don't pull them in too hard. You'll just crack the new glass or plastic, whatever it is. That's done. Now, I was trying to work out, is there a left and right? Well, there is. Now, if you look at the angles on them, and as you know, both of these are different, I've been given it's got two left-hand sides in it, so one's going to have to go on the right, and hopefully it'll sort of sit all right, but I'll clean that one up now. But yeah, there's your before, and there's your after, so, and when we chuck them into bumper, they'll look quite good. The other good bit of news is I've been waiting for weeks, finally got me upper control arm rubbers and bushings and shit, so I'm just going to have a little bit of a tidy up here. We'll come back to the lights and shit, because I've been dying to bloody get this suspension back together. So we'll put this aside. I'm very happy with that. That come up all right. Quite roadworthy and all that, and it works too. I've checked the bulb and the socket, and all works properly, because one's park and one's indicator, as you know. Let's have a look at this front suspension. Well, tubers, that's the park indicator light assemblies done. I cleaned up the mountain bracket and powder coated them. They look like bloody brand new. Good as you're going to get. They're a little bit sad, but anyway, all the sockets work, the globes work, the new globes, cut new seals, as you know. That's all done. I was going to push on, as I was saying to you, we got our control arm bushings, and it's a bit noisy in here. I've got the fan on, sorry. Had a go at sort of pushing them in, bit of a tap. No, they need a lot more push. So I'm going into the suspension joint, the guy who's doing my rear springs, and he reckons he'll be able to press them in for me. So there's always something that'll hold you up, and he's going to supply some U-bolts as well, because looking at that, I'm not going to do all this work to put that in. I mean, have a look at that. That goes in the shit heap. Well, guys, you know me. Always screwing around with something different. This is the bell crank for the clutch. That's the pedal end. That is the clutch end, I guess you want to call it, or it goes to the clutch fork. That is the original bushing out of that, and that is one I turned up, which fits beautifully in there and fits beautifully on the shaft, so you can sort of see how much it's worn to what a new one possibly looks like. I've also put a grease nipple in that. I drilled it and tapped it, put a grease nipple in it, just as a service thing. I thought, and I know these are sort of self-lubricating, a lot of these plastics, but I'm putting a grease nipple in it anyway. Take that back out, I'll powder coat it, and that's that piece done. Just waiting on the bumper irons to dry. Just sort of wire wheeled all them, and that's just rattled can black. So they're just drying. Cleaned up all the inside of that bumper, and just put some zinc on it. Same as the back bumper. You can just make that out down the back there. I've got some leaf springs, as you know. Yeah, that come up all right. I'll get some more bolts from Bunnings tomorrow. We can fit that bumper. And that'll be the front end like that, just about done. Bumper's back on, guys. Bit disappointed. I cleaned up all the irons and all of that. They all come up all right, you know, and you can't really see. There's the irons in there. They come up fine, just gloss black paint. I have polished. I haven't sanded, but I have polished. I have tried every bloody thing I can on this bumper. I can't reverse 63 years of dust, wind, rain, abuse. Little spots of rust. I'm not too concerned about that, but I was hoping I would have got the chrome, a little bit more lustre in the chrome. Done all I can do. It's a lot better. I've just put a coat of that anchor wax on it, and it's had its first rub back. That'll just protect what's left. Hopefully it'll come up a wee bit shinier. But yeah, I just would have liked a little bit more shine. Like even those old headlight surrounds, they come up pretty good. If I can get anywhere near that. I straightened out the bumper a lot too. It was pretty bent, but I just would have liked a bit more shine to it. But then I suppose it matches the rest of the car, doesn't it? Tomorrow I'll put in I told you I cleaned up the indicator and park light assemblies. You've seen them. I'll put them in tomorrow. I just want to tidy up the wiring. What I want to do is put some 2-pin plugs on it. Just a couple of male plugs or female plugs, and when I wire it I can just plug it in. But they're all cleaned up and ready to go. As I say, the lights work, but just would have liked that bumper just a little bit shinier. But yeah, anyway, it is what it is. Park lights and indicator lights are in. Yeah, still not happy with that bumper, but anyway, it is what it is. They went in all right. They cleaned up okay, as you know. Look pretty tidy in there. Just put a plug on them, tidied up the wiring a bit. All a bit out of focus. Sorry, guys. Yeah, that'll be right. Same as that side up there, as you can see in there. Yeah, that's sort of about that front part done. Just would have liked that bumper better, but, well, you can't do much about it. Also finished the bell crank for the clutch. They come up right. I machined all the new thing in there, as you know. Just cleaned these up, give them a quick powder coat, put a new clip on it. That can come out easy enough. It's just sitting there, but as you know, I'll put a grease nipple in. That'll be just, you know, as I say, it looks a little bit better than a rusty old piece of shit. But having said that, I like a contrast. So, yeah, maybe that's just my weird way of thinking. We're going to start on the steering linkage. I had to cut that tie rod off, so I think we'll just buy new tie rods. These feel all right. I'll see if I can get the rubbers alone. The idler arm bushing, I think we'll just replace anyway as a matter of course, because it feels like it's seized. So it should be interesting. But anyway, yeah, I think we'll do the tie rods because I don't know exactly what they're like. I think it's easier just to replace them. So we'll pull that all apart, clean it. I've taken photos just to get a rough indication what the measurement is, because that adjusts your toe in, obviously, toe in, toe out. I'm not going to get it accurate. It will have to be aligned at some point. We can do toe in at home without too much difficulty. Just, you know, measure across the... what you can do for toe in, actually, yeah, once it's all set up, you can put a couple of bits of 2 straight edges that go either side of that and secure them to it, and then just measure between the two. And if you've got a smaller measurement at the front and a bigger measurement at the back, that means toe in. Of course, you know, you don't want bloody miles of it, but And if, of course, the measurement's bigger at the front and smaller at the back, it's toe out. Started screwing around with the steering column. That's the gear shift tube, as you know. That's where the gear lever goes in. Of course, when you pull it back and forwards towards yourself, it activates this spring, and that puts you in your first, reverse, second, third positions. Little honey pot. I was going to paint it, and I started rubbing it back, and I thought, shit, that's bloody aluminium. I thought, well, I'll give it a quick polish. Something different. I don't know. It'll probably look like shit. I don't know. Got to do the tube. There's a gear lever. I've just got this handle soaking in some rip-off. And I'll tell you what, it's taken off 60 years of guns just like that. That rip-off you can get, it's just an automotive cleaning chemical. You get it at CSV or Crash Supplies Victoria have got it. I'm sure there's plenty of others around the country too. I'll let that have a sit in that for a while. Actually, that'll clean up the wiper switch and headlight knobs as well. Anything white, that stuff works miracles on. Steering column assembly time, guys. Painted me tube. It's still, it's touch dry. It's been pretty humid here lately. So what we're going to put our gear shift tube in. So we've cleaned all that up. We're going to put some grease on that. That just gives it the spring lever in the gear shift lever. You know, when you pull it towards you to get first and reverse, that's what gives it the spring. They're your shift levers. So you have first and reverse, second, third, and in between them is that spacer. And they slide up over that, and that's your interlock thing that goes in. You can't really see it. That goes in those thingos there. And that's what does the shifting for you. So what we'll do is we'll put some grease on that. Sit those in the gap down there. And then slide the tube in, and hopefully all that'll bloody well line up. Let's see what happens. With the tube in that position, and those in that position, that should be all lined up. When you move the tube, it's lined up on the second and third, which is that one. And when you push the tube, you can feel the spring action. You can just see it there. There's the spring action. That engages your first reverse. So that's all lined up. So now what we're going to do, I think we have to put on the rubbers that go around the firewall. I'll just make sure on the order of them. There's two rubbers that have got to go on. They I cleaned those up ages ago. Where are we? There we go. Yeah, there's that there. Those two. Yep. So that one's more a trim. I think if you've got carpet, it goes around that, so it just sort of trims it off nicely. And that's your main one that goes on your firewall. And looking at it, I'd say it goes, because that tube goes that way in the car, I'd say that goes that way. Looking at it. Yeah, all right, so anyway, there, so they're cleaned up. We can bung them on, and then we can start doing the honey pot and all that sort of stuff. For those of you that have never had the pleasure of working on a early forward steering column, and I think the way this gets mounted, it was right up to about XC. I could be wrong. Might have gone into XD, not sure anyway. That's 70, I probably got dropped about 78, 79 when XD come in. But have a look at your column. See, there's two notches, 1, 2, 180 degrees diagonally opposite each other. Now, in this little hub, you'll notice there's your two square-headed nuts or bolts. Now, what happens is you leave them loose. You just start the nuts a couple of threads and you push them through. And what you can see will happen is the tube, if I can get this, sorry, I'm trying to do this all one-handed. The tube will slide up in, where are we? The tube will slide up in that gap, and then because that's loose, you can actually move that over and clamp it in. There's enough flexibility in there for that to slide past that and clip in. Does that make sense? Guys try all sorts of things, silicone, all sorts of crap. You don't have to do any of that. Just leave them loose. And then basically when it drops on and you start tightening, they'll fall into place provided everything's home correctly. At least that's a theory. I've never had a problem before, but I have never done XKLMP before. I've only done into the ABC series with these. And I guess it's all pretty much the same theory. We're going to see, also you have to thread your wire, and we're going to have to thread the wiring through there. So what I'll do is I'll tape off the end and sort of feed that whole assembly in together at once. Does that make sense? As I say, I don't have a tripod to show you this, but when you have a go at one, you'll see how it works. It's a little bit fiddly. You could probably use a second person, but we're going to have a go anyway. So let's see what happens. There we have it, guys. I think I actually got the bloody thing together. I thought about it, and I was having trouble with these nuts. As I said, just start them. That leaves you plenty of slack. But they kept pushing out this way, of course, as I tried to push all that home. I thought, what the bloody hell? So I got an elastic band and put it between the two, and in effect, that forces them open that way. If you push them right down, that forces them that way. That fell on, and then just tighten them up and it's home. And the shift's working and all of that. Well, I've got to do the indicators, but the shift feels like it's working. The wires are in. Hopefully I didn't pinch them. There's the wire and loom hanging there. I think we might have had a success here, but that's a handy little trick. Yeah, put an elastic, Ford probably done it 60 years ago. Put an elastic band between the two when they're loose, just under the nut. And that'll sort of pull them together at this end, because you want that far end to be spread apart to drop down over the tube. Anyway, it's on. We'll see what happens. Thinking back to when I first pulled the column out, as you know, there was no indicator stalk. Now, I don't have one. I haven't seen one secondhand. I'm sure they're out there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, that's the actual mechanism that goes in there. That's part of the self-cancelling mechanism. And in, if I can't get it out, in there you'll notice there's a threaded section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a bit of round and I'll re-tap that and get a bit of just, probably 6-7 mil round, whatever. I think I've got some there, and turn up a stalk, and then I can worry about a knob later. And that, well, you put that in first, and then you screw the actual indicator arm into that. And then that should make all the indicators self-cancel and work, because the switch I've checked out, and that's your switch there. Put some white grease on it. Should be all right, because the original indicators weren't hooked up and didn't work. Well, I don't know if they worked or not, because it never had a battery in it. But that's the plan anyway, guys. So let's get a bit of steel that's suitable, see what we can come up with. Well, that's the indicators in and done. I just turned up a bit of shafting, and you can see they go out and hold their position. Seems to be all right, and then obviously when the mechanism, the self-cancelling thing comes around, it clicks up. That's just a bit of mild steel, very temporary. It's got to probably have a knob on it, powder coat it black and that sort of thing, but that's pretty much the column done, bar the steering wheel, which I'll show you that in the next video, in this video. But yeah, the plastic, well, I might as well show it to you now. When I was cleaning the bloody thing up, and I took the little horn ring thing out, which is that thing, and that goes in there. These pieces fell out. You can see they're cracked, but they actually broke away from in there and fell out. So what I've done, I've mixed up some araldite and all of that and glued them all up. Now, I don't think the cracks in the plastic will be a roadworthy item. If they are, I'll have to bloody, I don't know, do something with it. And that piece obviously goes back in like so. That's your horn contact. I won't put it in yet. Yeah, so that's sort of the steering column pretty much done. Yeah, gear lever, obviously. I've got to make up a little bit of rubber. That goes in there. I just need a little, I could probably buy it. Little piece of rubber just to sort of an anti-rattle piece, I suppose. But yeah, that's the column. Remember when I said to you guys when I pulled the motor out a few videos back, and I said the gearbox didn't want to separate, and that was because the mounts were broken, which of course they are, and this bracket's broken. So look out, the magpies are going mad out here. What's going on? What are they going crook about? Going mad about something. Yeah, this bracket's also broken. So what we're going to do is that goes like that, and that sort of goes like that. I'm trying to do this one-handed. Sort of like so. And then that piece has got a weld in there. So I'm going to clean all these three bits up. We're not going to grind where they're cracked. Reason being, sometimes you can get, and it's very little bit, you can get a little bit of, I think it's what's known as mechanical lock. So it'll help you line everything up, and it'll just give it a tiny bit more support. That's probably bullshit, but I've heard it called mechanical lock. So we'll fix that up. Gearbox, I do want to put a new seal in the back, in the front, and probably just a set of gaskets, extension housing up the bell housing there, and probably this side one I'll clean it. I just want to stick my head inside quickly and have a look, just see what the gear set looks like. Other than that, I'm not pulling it right to bits. Once again, I'm sort of taking a chance on the gearbox, but we'll get started on these. We'll get started on this rear transmission mount, and yeah, clean it up, give it a sandblast, bit of welding, see what we come up with. One gearbox mount, welded, checked for fit, and oh no, it's not too hot. You can see where the welds I've done, obviously. Didn't want to grind them back, it's all a bit more meat, and I powder coated it, so fits perfectly. Yeah, so the bolts might sit up a little bit on that, but I'll just put a flat washer, that'll pull up all right. Yeah, so that's that part done. We'll start tidying up this cross member, guys. Just a quick wire wheel, bit of paint, and that'll just about do it. No repairs or anything needed on it. Part 8 done and dusted. Yeah, I shall see you very shortly in part 9.